Well, hello, ekartingnews.com fans and racers around the country. Rob Howden here with a very first for the EKN Radio Network. I had mentioned in past podcasts that we were going to be rolling out a bunch of new shows. Well, this is one of them. This is the Industry Insider, where we will be talking to prominent figures in the karting industry, whether they're shop owners, importers, promoters, that kind of thing. This will be an opportunity to kind of look into the industry, look into the component of the sport, which is so vital. I know a lot of people think that, we go racing, it's the clubs that are so important, which I believe the foundation is strong. But to have a really solid and vibrant industry is something that any sport needs. I don't care if it's karting or I don't care if it's ping pong, baseball, basketball, football. You have to have a strong industry that allows our hobby, our sport, to continue to thrive and grow and evolve. So for this very first edition of the Industry Insider, none other than Andy Seesemann. We've worked with Andy many, many times, first with his shop, FTK, Full Throttle Karting in California, but as well for the last number of years, we've been pleased and honored to be able to work with him closely with the Challenge of the Americas. First off, Andy, thank you so much for joining me here on the EKN Radio Network. First time with the Industry Insider. Might as well bring Andy Seesemann. That's a pretty cool deal.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Rob. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you having me, and it's nice to be the one to break the ice, so to speak.
We'll preface it by the fact that we may have some residual noise because you're at FTK at the shop right now. We're really just 3 weeks away from the opening round of the Challenge of the Americas, but business as usual at Full Throttle Karting in California. There's guys working in the shop on some stuff. The phone may ring. We'll just let everybody know who's listening in. There could be some interruptions. Just bear with us because Andy is at the office of the shop. Andy, big stuff for you this year. Really an evolution, no doubt about it. Over the last number of years, you've been able to develop the Challenge of the Americas, the 3-race West Coast Winter Series, into really a destination that a lot of people have come to. You really make kind of every year they're going there on their schedule. It's a locked and loaded that I'm going to kick my season off at the Challenge. There's the phone we talked about. No worries. The Challenge has been some people go to. The guys from California come out, Arizona come out and play, but we get a lot of guys from Colorado and from Canada as well. Trying to escape the cold weather. But a bit of an evolution. Over the last number of years, it's been Rotax. I think we all know and have discussed the issues that have happened to Rotax and kind of where the position is here with that program in the United States. Brand new territory for you. I'll turn it over to you for a little bit here before we start talking about schedule and about what's happening. But, man, a lot of work for you over the last number of months as you have transformed the Challenge of the Americas from a Rotax program to a Rock Cup program. Got to be a lot of work there for you.
Oh, absolutely. I'm as you can well imagine. I mean, I was involved. Can you hear the answer machine right now in the background?
I love it. No, this is raw.
This is typical, right? Anybody in the karting business. I mean, we all have to multitask, right? So
I'm glad the phone's ringing for you.
Yeah. Oh, it never stops. So I unplugged the one in my office, but the one in the main shop's still going. So.
All right, let's talk about the Rock Cup program and what it took for you to obviously evolve it first and foremost.
Well, going back, once again, I was at the very first Rotax meeting in the United States in the late 90s, right around 2000. So, I mean, I had a huge, long-term history with that program. I mean, obviously, loyalty can be scarce in motorsports and in karting as well. But I'd been very loyal to that program, been very loyal to me. But, some things happened over the past few years that, we all know we don't have to discuss it. It just kind of started to go the wrong way. So as that happened, as the final, I won't say nail in the coffin, but that's at least a staple. That was supposed to be a joke, by the way. When Max Speed decided to close its doors, it's time to look for other options. I mean, obviously, to be a vibrant business, you have to be flexible. You have to adapt, like we all do. So. We went looking around to see what other options were out there, and obviously, there's other engine packages. I mean, IAME's very popular, and it's a worldwide name, and for that fact, so is Vortex. I mean, Vortex Rock has been around for many, many years. I mean, if people don't know, it's a OTK brand. It's owned by Mr. Robazzi, which also owns Tony Kart, but it's a completely separate business. The factory is completely separate. It's 2 hours away from the Tony Kart factory, so they're very different. So that being said, there was certainly opportunity there. I mean, Rock wanted to expand into the United States in a much bigger way. They'd been in Florida for many years, but had never gotten across the Rockies, not gotten across the Mississippi for that matter. So, we sat down and we had some negotiations, some talks, and, I decided to put my overalls on and get to work. And it's been a big process here for the past 9 months, and it's certainly not going to get easier for the next year, but certainly the work is paying off already. I can see it.
One of the things, Andy, is the primary, makeup of the program itself really doesn't have to change that much, does it? Because the series itself is locked and loaded. Everything you do other than the product that you have on the carts is what's going to change, right? The series itself is the same. Even to be honest, the class structure is pretty much the same. You're plugging in the different engine.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as you all know, and you and David, talk about, and I appreciate, my staff has been with me for so many years. I mean, I pride myself on having a very good staff, and really it's the same folks we've had, our same race director, our same tech director, down to Shelby in scoring and Nicole doing the tires, and even their grid steward guy is the same person. So, that is the same as it's always been. Our venues, we really rotate between 4 venues on the West Coast, from Musselman in Tucson to PKRA in Phoenix, Cal Speed, which we hadn't been to in a few years, and Sonoma Sim Raceway. So between those 4 venues, we're always at 3 of them every year. And once again, we've not going to Tucson this year, but instead filling it with Cal Speed. So we're still at the same venues. Just like you said, the class structure, there's a micro class, a mini, a junior, senior, masters, some shifter classes, and then LO 206, which we added last year with some success. So really, you're absolutely right. In that respect, it's been fairly plug and play. Obviously, there's some logistical things that have to change, suppliers and rule sets, et cetera. But as far as the logistics of the series and how it operates, it's very much the same.
Obviously, looking to, as I said, it's about 3 weeks away from the program, getting things underway at Phoenix. Let's first start. Let's start first by I'll lay out the schedule for people who may not have the schedule in front of them, or maybe have the knowledge of the schedule. Pretty much kind of the same thing you've done over the last couple of years. January 26, 27, 28 kicking off at Phoenix, PKRA. Always a great track. Love racing there. The competition's always fantastic. Fast forward a month to February, and again, it is this winter series. February 23rd, 24th, 25th into Cal Speed Karting Center. Again, I really like being in Ontario. Some people love the track. Some people don't love it as much. I think it's a great track to watch. I think I got a chance to race on it myself last year in a 206. I think it's a fantastic facility to be at. I love being in California at Cal Speed. And last but not least, the track with probably the best view from the pit road. Right, anywhere in karting, Sonoma, California.
Yeah, it's like we talk about. It's like an infinity kart track. It's like an infinity pool, right? You're up on the bluff, and then it just kind of fades away into the pasture land.
A lot going on in March, so of course that race moving to April 13th, 14th, and 15th at Sim Raceway Performance Karting Center. So there's your schedule. Class structure pretty much the same in terms of the Micro Max and Mini Max become Rock Micro and Rock Mini, and Junior, Senior, Master. And then the 2 different shifter categories, Shifter Senior and Shifter Masters. 206 Senior, and I believe 206 Junior again this year as well. They were, I think, big positives from last year. Again, so I'll lay out right now. First, tell us, how are things going in terms of feedback? Because, you're really introducing a new engine package to the West Coast. Over the last summer, you were able to get a lot of momentum, a lot of believers that got on the Rock package, whether it be at Tri-C or through testing at Cal Speed. How have things gone so far for you 3 weeks out for the first race of the year?
It's been, like we talked about, it was a good summer and good fall. Rock ran a trade-in program throughout the year, and U.S. wide, I think we surprised them. I mean, they had budgeted for 150 to 200 engines, and we crossed over the 600 engine mark sometime in October. So in terms of
trade-ins,
yes. Now that's U.S. wide. That's not just Southern California, obviously, but they were happily pleased and very surprised, and then obviously their workload increased because they weren't ready for that. So that's a good problem to have, right? So that being said, between Southern California, obviously the Sans Rouge series up in Northern California made the change to Rock and did some business up there. There's been a race series announced, Rock the Rockies, which is going to happen, in the Colorado area. So there's, in our main customer base areas, there are Rock programs. Obviously, they're not as big as Rotax was in its heyday. They're not as big as other programs, but there's a start. So, that's what we have to do, is start from the ground level.
And that really is what it is. You guys are starting from the absolute ground level. You're in any regional program, whether you call a winter series a regional program or a national, whatever it may be, you still have to be able to draw from clubs and regions to be able to have guys come to your program. That was one of the beauties of the Rotax program when it was, as you said, in its heyday. At that point, there was Rotax factions everywhere. Whether, anywhere where there was racing, there was Rotax factions that you could draw from. There were teams that were, had their trailers filled with rental motors and arrive and drive packages. Let me ask you this, your thoughts straight up. How do you feel about where you have come from, let's say 6 months ago?
It's progressing. Some days it progresses better than I thought. Some days you get nervous, right? It's like anything. I'm a dad of two, and I know you don't have kids, but it's like raising a child. Like, some days are great days, some days aren't great days. So you just have to look at the big picture and look at the prize, or the goal at the end is it's raising this good child. So you got to kind of take it as it ebb and flows. It's going to go the direction. You got to kind of steer it and make it work. That being said, my goal for this year was to get back to where we kind of ended last year. Last year, the Challenge of Americas, I'll be honest, and nobody likes to talk about numbers, but I'll be 100% honest, right? The Challenge of Americas started with 75 its first year. At its peak, it was in the 140s, and by the end, it dropped all the way back to 75. My goal was to get right back to at least that 75 or 80 where we ended last year, and we're definitely there. So that's the point, that's the program, and that's the starting point. So we're exactly where we were 10 years ago, and looking forward again. So
let's talk more about that reboot when we come back, folks. Stick with us here on the very first episode of the Industry Insider on the EKN Radio Network. Again, stay with us. We'll talk more with Andy Seesemann when we get back. Are you looking for a new kart shop? One that treats you like you're an important customer? If so, look no further than Acceleration Kart Racing. At Acceleration, customer service is number one. We are a full-time karting business, not a hobby or an afterthought. We have all the products you're looking for, from kit karts to shifters, safety to speed. We strive to offer our customers the best products, prices, and service. At Acceleration Kart Racing, we're always here when you need something for your racing program. Located in Las Vegas, Acceleration is stocked with a wide range of products. We've been helping racers get the right parts for over 16 years. Acceleration has everything that a kart racer needs, from turnkey karts to safety equipment, engines, and more, stocking all of the leading kart racing brands. Here's a taste of the products that we carry every day. CRG, Tony Kart, Bennett, Rotax, Honda, Miami, MG Tires, Vinco, Bridgestone, Mojo, Alpine Stars, Sparco, Ribtech, and EVS, Tillett, Micron, Alfano, Bell, Arai, Zamp, KG, Sniper, SweetTech, and K&N. It doesn't matter where you live in the country. We will get you what you need so you can get back on the track. Acceleration has a sufficient supply of products to ensure that your order can be shipped the very same day. Our knowledgeable staff is available to help customers 6 days a week, and ordering online is open 24 hours a day at shopakr.com. For visitors and locals in the Las Vegas area, Acceleration has a large showroom full of the best kart racing products available. Come on in and check it out. To find out more about what Acceleration has to offer, visit shopakr.com. Again, shopakr.com. And make sure to sign up to be on our mailing list to receive the latest updates and promotions that we send throughout the season. Again, we're a one-stop shop. shopakr.com. Are you ready to get the 2018 season started? If you're like us, we're ready to get out of the snow and back to the track. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. We specialize in IAME engines, tilt seats, and of course, our championship-winning Merlin chassis. If you're ready to take your racing to the next level, come join us at Team FMS. We've been supplying racers with start-to-finish support at race events for many years, from providing a helping hand at a weekday test outing or club event to full arrive and drive packages at the highest level of karting competition. For 2018, we'll be attending the SCUSA Winter Series and Pro Tour, the United States Pro Kart Series, and the Route 66 Karting Series. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, back here with Andy Seesemann, our very first guest on the Industry Insider, one of the new podcasts as part of the EKN Radio Network. But when we left, Andy, we're talking about resetting the bar, and it's interesting. It really is a rebirth, because you said, you started with around 70, 74 guys to start, up to 140, a little more than 140, then back down to 75 when, you were battling to do what you could with what at that point was a kind of a failing Rotax program, and the struggles that it had, of course. Would you consider it, would you consider it a major positive to be able to come out and put 75 guys in the paddock at Phoenix to kick off this new rock program?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I could tell you, even before the Challenge of the Americas, when I just ran my very first Gators Karting Cup way back in 2001 or 2002, I had 10 guys that we were one class at a club. So we're already way past that, right? And look what it grew to. Yeah. So for sure, just to be able to get back to our end number is going to be a huge positive. This year will be an oddity for any racing series. Most race series, you watch the numbers start at they're the biggest at the round 1, round 2 you lose 10%, round 3 you lose 3%, another 10% or vice versa. This year for us, I from the calls I get and from the word on the street, this is going to be the opposite. It's going to start at that number. It's going to increase by 10% at each round, and by the end we may get 100 or more at Sonoma, based on what I've heard people talk about. So it's
interesting. It's more of a momentum thing because the thing's so fresh, as opposed to people saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm probably not the championship anymore, so I'm gonna bail out." People are still jumping in because they want to play. They're just getting on board with the program, and they're going to come in, especially doing what you're doing. You're taking the series, starting it off at a place where really there isn't any rock. There's really, I don't think you're going to find any rock at Phoenix, but then you're going to go to one of the small areas of growth that got started this past year. And of course, that's Cal Speed. And then you mentioned the Sanzaru program. So then you take those guys, roll them all together and push the snowball up the hill and end up at Sonoma where you got more drivers. So really you keep taking the program to places where there are more guys to join up.
Yep. And that's what we have to do. I mean, in a perfect world, we should have said, well, why don't we just start at Sonoma? Well, I mean, you know what Sonoma's like in March. You can imagine what it's like in January, right? It's just from a weather standpoint. So,
well, and one thing I want to mention here, let's move into this now. One of the cool things about the fact that you talk about being a lateral move in terms of the amount of drivers you had last year and who you had this year. A lateral move as well in terms of prize package too, because you guys had a big package last year of guys being able to go to the Rotax World Finals. In fact, it's even more than that, because all your Rock drivers, the champions, are all going to the Rock International Final, which is an event that I've been to that I absolutely loved. I announced it a couple of years. Loved being at South Garda. A great race, and all of your champions are going to get a chance to go there. That's pretty big. That's a major. I want to say, I don't say stepping stone's not the word I want to use, but it's a major feather to a certain extent that you're able to launch with such a great package like that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I appreciate you commenting about the size of my package. But once again, that was another joke.
Sorry, you're cutting, just so you know, you're cutting in and out every once in a while, and it seems to be exactly every time you make a joke. So it's not like I don't think you're funny. You know, I think you're funny. It's just we're having a little bit of connection issues. It just seems to be dropping every time you drop the end of the joke. I apologize.
All right, good. So,
but again, great prize package for this year. Let me set it up for you. You can roll it out. First place in all the rock classes are going to get that ticket to go to the international final. New chassis, new engine, entry fee, practice tires, race tires, fuel and oil, and the pit spot. And I can tell you, I've been to that race a couple of times. I had a chance to announce it with T-Kart's Yannick Sturzel, and I absolutely loved being at that race. Yeah. Second place, the championship, winning a ticket to the Rock the Rio event scheduled for early November at Las Vegas. Third place, and I like this, third place in all the rock categories, an entry for next year's season opener for the Challenge of the Americas. That's a great lineup for first, second, and third.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we want to make sure we give back. I mean, racing's racing, right? And normally the champions win the big prize. That's how it's supposed to work. But in the end, we want to support those who support us, and we stepped up and found some supporters to help out with the other two steps on the podium. I mean, you could value it however you want, right? Us promoters always value things however we want to value them, right? Is it worth 50,000 total? Is it worth 100,000 total? Is it worth 10 cents? You can value it however you want. Just know that everybody on that podium in the rock classes, one of them is going to get to go to Europe, one of each in each class. One of them is going to get to go to Vegas, and the other one's going to get to come back next year and at least have their race entries paid for second or third. So, it's going to be a good program to kick us off. It's definitely, I'm definitely excited because I did as well go to the Rock International Final this past October for the first time. And you're right. It's a pretty cool event.
It is, isn't it? They do a great job, but no doubt about it. The main event day, I think it's usually Saturday, is awesome. And they know how to throw a party. I guarantee that. The Friday night and Saturday night parties, the post-event parties, the prize giving, a lot of fun, no doubt.
Yeah, I can tell you one of my favorite memories from that event is this very simple memory. When they were doing the drivers parade on Saturday morning, we all went out on the track, and I watched Rubens Barrichello and Emerson Fittipaldi just simply turn into dads and just start taking pictures of their kids with other kids. And that to me is what karting is and should be and should always be. And that's by far my best memory.
All right, let's take one more break before we wrap this thing up. I want to come back. I want to talk about the teams you guys are locked and loaded to come. Of course, David Cole and I will be there for full EKN Trackside Live coverage. The Challenge of the Americas, part of our 2018 EKN Trackside Live Tour, which will be somewhere between 24 and 26 events, I think, this year. A little insane, but yeah, we're into it. We'll do it. And then, of course, let's make sure we don't I want to talk about the LO 206 program, the Briggs 206, because you've got some good prizes up for grabs again there. And that was just a great addition last year. We had so much fun with the guys running Briggs. I know David got a chance to race as well. Let's talk about that on the other side of this break. Once again, the first ever episode of the Industry Insider, our good friend Andy Seesemann joining us. Stick with us. We'll have more to talk about here about the Challenge of the Americas right after this break. This is Rob Howden, the editor-in-chief and publisher of eKartingNews.com. I hit over 20 events a year, and on many occasions, I end up calling races with the luminous drivers up front. The SCUSA Pro Tour, California Pro Kart Challenge, Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix, all the same. The luminous drivers in the fight for the win. The Aluminos team is impressive, and they're a threat to win whenever and wherever they set up the tent. The custom-designed Aluminos chassis have been on fire this year, winning the California Pro Kart Challenge titles in S1, S2, S5, and S4 Supermaster. The chassis was tested and developed for the U.S. market, but it's still fully homologated for use across the world. The design features an innovative waist torsion system that provides for unparalleled chassis tuning. The kart is completed with magnesium components, and it's the only manufacturer offering 100% ceramic brakes. The Aluminos is one of the best looking karts on the market, and it's winning at every level, particularly at the top step in S1. Drivers just love the feel of the chassis. The Aluminos RS1 is the most popular model, a 32mm design with a mixture of soft tubing. The Rio is all 32mm soft tube, and it's the model that most of the shifter drivers in Vegas will be racing. Finally, the Estro. It's an all 30mm tubing design, and it holds the track record at both Cal Speed and Monterey. Aluminos has some great drivers in their program, and they're thrilled to invite new pilots like Colton Griffin, Jimmy McNeil, Mike Mantell, John Cavacuti, Brian Keck, and Cabot Bingham. Aluminos. American design, Italian manufactured, built for karting in the United States. In a sport where the difference between winning and losing is measured in hundredths of a second, you can't afford to leave anything on the table. You invest in the best equipment, the lightest components, and top-of-the-line data acquisition systems. Anything to find one more tenth, right? I'll tell you right now, the best investment you could ever make is in yourself. If you want to improve your results, it's time for professional instruction and coaching at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Located at the new state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park just north of Houston, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy uses the very best equipment, Burrell Art Karts. They offer half-day, one-day, two-day, and three-day clinics. They have a one-on-one student-to-instructor ratio, and they will design a customized curriculum for each student. Alan Rudolph is one of the most respected people in the sport, and he has nearly 20 years' experience training drivers, including Chase Elliott, Neil Alberico, Austin Versteeg, and Sabre Cook, and rising stars like Pietro Fittipaldi. Train with a champion with over 30 years of racing experience to get proven results. Start off your season with a driver tune-up. Tune up your season with some driver coaching. Or get ready for the big races by training with the best. Reserve your dates now by calling 866-607-RACE. That's 866-607-7223. For more information, visit speedsportsracingpark.com/racing-academy. Welcome back, EKN listeners. Rob Howden here with Andy Seesemann chatting about the Challenge of the Americas. Just about 3 weeks away before we get things going again in Phoenix. Looking forward to getting out there. Andy, let's chat first about the support. You know, one of the biggest transitions for you, the challenge gets the dad and the son and or the daughter, whatever it may be, the family with a small trailer. It gets that because people just love coming to race. That's the atmosphere you have. It's a low-key, fun atmosphere. Even though the competition's top-notch and you're running for Rotax, at one point, Rotax Grand National tickets. This year running for the Rock Cup International final tickets. It still is that atmosphere that allows anybody to come and play, whether it's the family rolling in from Canada with 3 kids racing, or it's mom and dad, or it's the mom and son, or whatever it may be. You also rely, of course, on the major the teams, the big tent teams, the trailers, the big shops, because guys are out there wanting to race and they want to race hard, and they want the support from the teams. And again, teams are important. You know, you bring a team with 10 more drivers, and it adds to your paddock. How are things looking in terms of some of those teams that have been with you for many years?
Well, like in any change, you're going to experience, some loss. To be honest, we've lost a couple teams that are pretty vested in other programs, and were really vested in Rotax. So when that program went away, I don't know if they couldn't reboot or they chose not to, whatever the reasons are. We did lose a few. But that being said, we've picked up more than we lost. And so more teams with a few less guys than maybe a tent with 10 people. But if you have 2 teams that may take that person's place with 5, it's a net zero, like we talked about. It's a no change.
Agreed.
Excuse me. Jalapeno for lunch there. It just came back.
Well done.
So obviously, some of the new names that we haven't seen, out west, or at the challenge, the Formula Works guys, Comcart West, they're coming with some folks, which is pretty exciting. Vemicart, Vince Mandarino and his group, they're bringing a team down. They're really making a push. I mean, obviously they made a push last fall. They're making a push in Florida. So, obviously the Vemi program is increasing, and they're making a push. They're also bringing PKS. I know is coming. Glenaraki is doing a little partnership with Vemi, so I know they're on their way. Nice. We also picked up one that I have never seen, never talked to, but I'm excited to meet him. The guys from K&K West out of Canada, Jimmy. He's bringing, I think, 5 drivers down that'll represent 8 or 9 entries, because they're going to both do some shifter and some LO206 and some other. Yep. So, I mean, that's a team. I know K&K is a very big chassis program up in Canada. We don't see them at all in the States. So I'm excited that they're coming down. Cameron Karting, who, although runs the Sanzaroo race, hadn't really put a road show together. They're on their way. They're coming down. So between those and our regulars with Unser Karting out of Colorado, and Performance Kart Sport out of Colorado, and Christian Bird Racing and Ruthless Racing. I mean, we have a lot of our standbys and our old steadies, but we've picked up some new names and new blood. Like anything is exciting.
And of course, you mentioned K&K West, Jimmy Gregory and the crew out there. K&K, as you said, it's an interesting program. It's a fantastic chassis that has found great success in the Canadian 206 categories. They've actually built a chassis right for the 206, and even they built it actually for the 50-inch wide rule set in Canada. They've done a good job. Keith Barrick and Kevin Barrick and that whole crew at K&K have built a fantastic chassis. And of course, Jimmy's the West Coast distributor of that chassis. He sells a bunch of go-karts and really knows how to build the program up in Edmonton. I'm excited to see him bring the K&K down, as you said, both in the 206 and in the shifter kart categories. Let's talk 206 right now. I guess some people could say, hey, listen, Andy, why don't you just make it a full 3-race championship? And, we can all run for a title. But, when it comes to the 206, and I'm happy with your approach, because this is an affordable program. And, it's tough to get someone to spend thousands of dollars to run a big series and travel all over the place when the engine's only, less than $600. So the way you've done it, each race essentially being a one-off event, guys can run the whole series if they want, but you're allowing people, the locals, to come in and play. And the numbers last year were solid. The racing was amazing. I would expect you're going to see even more growth in that 206 program, just because the program continues to grow around the country. Yeah,
I mean, that's the goal, right? I mean, obviously there's a good, the PKRA club is pretty much all 4-stroke. I mean, it's World Formula and LO206, but, they have a good contingency there. We also have a great contingency at Cal Speed with Tri-C and what they've done there. And then in Northern California, although they race with KPX, but it's a huge LO206 program. So hopefully, we'll get some folks to come over. This year, we don't have a conflict on our race days with KPX, which we did last year. So
agreed. Yeah, that's right.
Kenny Manchester and I talked, or at least dropped messages in the fall when we were talking about schedule. So we made sure we weren't on each other's dates, which was great. So yeah, I mean, as well as I do, the LO, which people forget, and local 206 is local option, and and you're absolutely right. When you could get an engine for $600 or a complete engine package for $1,000 or whatever it is, and then you ask somebody to buy plane tickets and travel, and it just makes it difficult for somebody who's a more budget-minded racer. So we wanted to make sure that those local drivers were served and they didn't feel compelled to travel. I mean, we welcome to. We'd love them to come to all three, but if we roll into your town, into your track, and you want to come race with us, there's prizes on the line. I hand out $500 in cold hard cash to the winner at the end of Sunday, and a free entry to the next round to second place, and a set of tires for third. So there's at least $1,000, worth of goods and prizes on the line at every event for LO206 racers. And that couldn't be done. I have to do this without the support from a couple major sponsors. I mean, ROV, which is a huge supporter of LO206, both with their distribution as well as the chassis they make. Art and Rod there have done a tremendous job supporting us, as well as Mike Giles and M2 Image Solutions. He's provided some prizes as well. So between those two supporters, LO206 racers will be able to race for some goods.
Well, let's put it this way. As we get ready to cap off this first edition of the Industry Insider, Andy, a lot of momentum right now. There's a lot of talk about people digging the program, and you gave us a little bit of a layout of some of the guys you expect to see, the teams you expect to see roll in terms of rock drivers and 206 drivers. If these guys want to get pre-entered, they got to do it pretty soon. What is the pre-entry deadline for the opening round in Phoenix?
Pre-entry deadline is about 6 days away. We close it at midnight on the 12th, next Friday. So that's almost a week away.
All right, Andy and I are recording this on Saturday the 6th, though we're just about, it'll be a week. But by the time we get this thing out here on Monday or Tuesday, we'll see Monday or Tuesday. We'll see when we can get it prepped and ready to go. We want to make sure that people jump on it. If you were going to come racing with us at the opening round of the Challenge of the Americas, make sure you get yourself pre-registered. Good way to save money. Don't complain about it if you don't do that, because the best way to save money is to pre-register.
Of course, it's an easy $100 in your pocket by pre-registering early, for sure.
Pays for your beer for the weekend.
Or yours.
Or mine. Andy, let's cap it off. Any other final thoughts you want to throw out here before we jump into 2018, something brand new. It's going to be a different sound. It's going to be different everything when we get there.
Yeah, it will be a different sound. I mean, fundamentally, what people need to know about me and the way I view the sport and our program is, I'm not looking, and I've never looked to take away from anything or any other program. I'm sure you know that from the years we've known each other. We've known each other for almost 20 years now. I only want the sport to succeed as a whole. And, I even though I've, focused on, Rotex in the past and now it's rock, I certainly want the sport to succeed. And I certainly don't look down on anyone for racing any other programs. I mean, that's what the sport's all about. I mean, I myself have raced Briggs Flathead, Briggs LO206, Yamaha, KPV, Comet Reed valves, Rotexes, rocks, Prill Leopards, PRDs. I've raced on dirt. I've raced enduro. I've raced sprint. I'm a go-kart guy. So it's not like I'm, if I look at people and say, hey, if you don't race a rock on short asphalt tracks, I don't have time for you. That's not what we do. So I just want people to know that. And we hope they want to come out and try our program and come have a good time and have fun.
Yeah, that really plays to, I think, the look. If you look at what happened at the major world championship races this year, let's say the manufacturer driven, the Rotax Grand Finals, the Rock Cup International Final, and the Miami International Final. Rock and Miami, same weekend.
Yep.
Both events with over 350 drivers.
Yep.
Of course, a massive turnout again for the Rotax Grand Finals as usual. If we're to grow as a sport, any manufacturer should be able to have enough people to race especially in the United States, in a country that is that size with that amount of population. The key to, I think, and we'll just cap this off, the key to the growth of our sport isn't about cutting up the pie we have right now. It's about growing the pie so everybody has 300, 400, 500, 1,000 drivers, racers, members nationwide. That's going to be the key, correct?
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. A rising tide floats all boats. You know that story.
There it is. Andy, thank you so much for joining us. Episode number 1 of the Industry Insider. I'll have to maybe get a trophy made up for you or something like that.
I appreciate that. That'd be great.
I could just buy a bottle of Bacardi or
Oh, yeah, no Bacardi. No thanks. That's cool.
That's cost for coal. That's right. Hey, Andy, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Rob. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
There it is, folks. Andy Seesemann from the Challenge of the Americas. And yes, we will see him in a couple of weeks. David Cole and I jumping on the airplane. Of course, David will have to make that stop at In-N-Out Burger before we get up to the track, but that's good for David. It's why he loves, one of the reasons why he loves going west. But we love heading out to that event. There's just, as I said, an atmosphere about being at the Challenge of the Americas where people are just there to have a good time. You know there's going to be amazing racing, tight racing, and of course, a lot up for grabs as well. We talked about how many great prizes are going to be on the docket for this year's event, trips to South Garda, Italy for the Rock Cup International Final. But again, just a great atmosphere for high competition, and it's good to see everybody when we get back out to Phoenix to start off the season. Again, that race set to go January 26th, 27th, 28th, just under 3 weeks from now, at least our taping date. Again, we're going to try to get this out on Monday or Tuesday of the following week. As Andy said, January 12th, I believe, is the cutoff time
Correct.
For pre-registration.
Correct.
There it is. Get yourself pre-registered. Come on, have some fun with us, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a fantastic event out there at PKRA. On behalf of Andy Seesemann, the Challenge of the Americas, this has been Rob Howland. Thank you so much for joining us on our very first edition of the Industry Insider. Of course, this new podcast show is going to be part of the launch of the EKN Radio Network. I'm hoping that's going to happen next week as well. A 24/7 karting radio station on ekartingnews.com. It'll be karting content 24/7 all the time, 365. We hope you enjoy it. And again, this has been the very first edition of the Industry Insider.